So, there are a couple horror games that have recently blown up. So I'm gonna build 4 of them in Lego for my next level of my video game tower. So let's start off with Lethal Company. It released October 23rd, 2023. Also, I'll be ranking each game on how scary it is with the Scariometer. Lethal Company can get kind of scary, so I'm gonna give it an 8. Now before I start building, I need a base. So I have one right here. Well, at least this is the start of a base. We just need to put a bunch of tiles over it. So I grabbed some gray plates and placed them on the top, but now I need to tile off the rest of the base. I used some more dark gray pieces for the floor of the second room. Then for the third room, I got this tan plate. And for the flooring for the last room, I used light gray. I finished it off with the last pieces. And then the base was complete. On this first spot, I'll be building Lethal Company. The second room will be Content Warning. The third will be That's Not My Neighbor. And the last room will be Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. But now because our base is complete, we can start working on the Lethal Company room. Now for the Lethal Company room, I have to build 2 employee figures or the characters you play as. And there you go, now we have 2 employee minifigures. They both have a helmet on their face and also oxygen tanks. I also built a yellow flashlight from the game, and then I also got a shovel. You can use the shovel to damage monsters. And you could also damage your friendships. Speaking of monsters, I got these pieces right here to build one of the monsters from the game, a bracken. I used 2 pieces of tape and paper on this helmet to make the eyes. I also used some green pieces to build whatever is on its back. And there you have it. Here is one of the monsters from Lethal Company, the bracken. In the game, it likes sneaking up on players and snapping their necks. Now throughout this video, I'm going to be rating all 4 rooms in this video that I build, and also every figure I build. So for the first figures to rate, I'm going to be rating the employees, and I think they actually came out really good, so I'll give them a 4.5 stars. And for the bracket minifigure, I'll give it a 4. Now because we have our minifigures for the Lethal Company room, we can start building. And I want to build this room right here, which is the first room you go into when you enter the facility. So to start off with the room, I got a bunch of these grill tiles that I'm going to be using for the floor. I also got some normal gray tiles for the floor. I also used some dark gray grill tiles, and then I switched off back and forth to make a pretty cool looking floor. Now with the flooring done, we can start working on the walls. I started with these pillars on both sides, and I used gray bricks on the inside to start building the walls. And I left space on both sides so I can put doors there later. I used some of these cool gray bricks to put texture into the wall. Also on the wall, I put a red button and this random tool for no reason. I also put this thing right here and another red button, and this black piece has a wire. I kept building the wall up with these cool pieces, and then it was time to add the doors. I built a total of 3 doors, 1 going on the left side and 2 on the right side to make a double door. I added the last bricks to the wall, added some other buttons and wires to the walls, then I tiled it off at the top. Now the room is just about complete. We just have to add some extra things to fill up the room, like this crate of bottles, a stop sign, another crate of bottles, a sheet of metal. Then I added our 3 minifigures, which means the Lethal Company room is complete. I think this room came out really good. It has a lot of tiny details in it. So for our first room, the Lethal Company room, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Now with the Lethal Company room done, we can go on to the next game. But before I do that, you're probably wondering why I'm making this video. Because the thing is, I used to do a bunch of these videos, but the last one I posted was almost a year ago. And the reason why I stopped doing them was because I was kind of getting bored of doing them. But because we recently hit 1 million subscribers, and I want to thank everyone so much for that, I decided for a 1 million subscribers special, I would come back to this. So I don't know if I'll ever do another one of these again, unless a ton of people subscribe, which will show me that a lot of you guys still want more of these. But now let's go on to our second game, which is Content Warning, which released April 1st, 2024. And on the Scariometer, I'll give it a 6. Now to start off the Content Warning room, I have 2 minifigures I'm gonna build, which are 2 of the player characters. The first one I built, I used a happy looking yellow face. Bro, this thing is so goofy. And for the second player, I gave him a red angry face. I also built them some accessories from the game, like a flashlight, a boom mic, and a camera, so they can film some monsters. Speaking of monster, I got some parts to build one of the monsters. I attached its legs, its arms, and its shell. Yep, this is the zombie snail from the game, and it actually looks pretty close to the actual thing. It can slowly walk over to a player and start eating him alive. Wow, this is great footage. Now, rating these figures, I'm gonna give the players 4 stars, and the snail actually looks really good, so I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Alright, now because I have the figures, we can start building the content warning room. I started by putting these dark gray pieces on the side, then I put in these black bricks, and then an archway to give the illusion of a dark hallway. The rest of the walls are dark gray, so I put them all together, and then in the room I built this wheel thing, which you can find in some rooms of the game, and then right here I put what's supposed to be a rib cage, and I put a skull on the right side. On the left side I put some shelves, and I put another skull on top of it. Then I placed in the cameraman, the snail, and then our other player running from the snail. And with that, the content warning room is done. I have the cameraman filming the other guy getting chased by the snail, and also filming him being eaten. Keep going, this is great footage. Buddy? Are you dead? Now for the rating of the content warning room, it looks pretty good. I'll give it 4 stars. Alright, with that room done, we can go on to our third game, which is That's Not My Neighbor, which released February 15th, 2024. And on the Scariometer, I'll give it a 7. Now for this build, I have 3 minifigures for it. The first one is the player, which you've never seen in the game, so I'm guessing what they might look like. The second minifigure is a normal neighbor, but the third minifigure is one of the doppelgangers, trying to pretend like he's a neighbor. Now rating these minifigures, they're pretty generic, so I'll give the player 3 stars, the normal neighbor 3.5 stars, and then the doppelganger 4 stars. Alright, now let's get to work. I started by using these brown pieces as the baseboard, but this room's gonna be a little bit different than the other rooms because I'm leaving some space right here where the neighbors will come through. The walls in the game are pink, so I attached them onto the right side, and then on the left, I put the window where the neighbors come to. I added some more pink walls. I also tiled the flooring where the neighbors come through. It'll make sense in a little bit. I added the wall to the left of the window, but there are some other things on the wall like buttons, papers, and this wanted picture. And on the right of the window, there are some folders in the game, and then I added the brown table next to the window. And then I added some things onto the table like this note paper, the unlock and lock buttons to the door. I used this little piece as the neighbor's ID. This random piece, but it looks kind of cool, so I'm gonna put it here anyways. Then I built the telephone from the game, which you use to call the DDD, or the people that extract the doppelgangers. And I used this black droid arm as the telephone. Then I got this chair, which you never see in the game because it's 2D, but I'm guessing you're probably sitting on a chair, so I put it there anyways. And then to give this room just a little bit more detail, I added a newspaper and some other random things on the floor. And I also added a trash can into the back corner. Now I have this pole thing that I'm gonna attach both neighbors onto, and then I slide it in right here, and then you just push it so the neighbor walks up to the window, and then if the neighbor's all clear, we can keep pushing it till the doppelganger shows up. And with that, the That's Not My Neighbor room is done. For it being a 2D game, this room came out really good. Alright, we can now rate the That's Not My Neighbor room, and I think it looks really good with an awesome play feature, so I'll give it 4.5 stars. Now it's time for the last game, and it is none other than Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, which released January 30th, 2024. And on the Scariometer, I'll give it an 8. Now for the minifigure, I built the player, which I took from my very first horror video when I built the original Poppy Playtime. But we're gonna upgrade this minifigure. I changed the red hand to a green hand, then I took off the head to build a gas mask, because in the game, Catnap spits out red toxic gas. And finally, I got this electric piece, because in the game you use the green hand to shock Catnap. And speaking of Catnap, our next figure is Catnap himself, or at least just the head of it. This is my custom built Catnap head. I may have used some illegal building techniques to build it, and it also is kind of fragile, but I still think it looks really good. So to rate these figures, I'll give the player 4 stars, and the Catnap head 5 stars. Now with our figures, we can start building the fourth and final room, Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. I started with this pillar on the left side, and then I put this giant hallway right here. But I used dark red instead of black because of the toxic gas that is everywhere. And also Catnap will be coming out of this hallway. I attached more parts of the wall. I said I attached more parts of the wall. Then I added a bunch of random pieces, but a lot of these pieces are going to be covered up, so it'll look better once it's finished. I added the last part of the wall right here. Now we can start adding details to the room. I built this giant part of the wall, which is going to go right here, and I put this green thing right here. I also put this electric piece on top of it to show that there's electricity in it. So when the green hand hits it, it puts the electricity onto the hand. And then you use the hand to electrocute Catnap, which I'm going to put him coming through this hallway. And I also use these transparent red pieces to be the toxic gas he spits out. I promise it is not ketchup. Now we can attach the player minifigure, and with that, the Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 room is all done, which means we are done with this level. To rate the Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 room, I think it looks really good. I'll give it 4.5 stars. Now I can bring in the rest of the video game tower, and I can attach it all together. So now we have 4 floors of our second video game tower. If a bunch of you subscribe, maybe I'll do a part 10.